All right, baby. You've been working so hard. You've been in the gym. You haven't been letting this quarantine get you down. Let's show them that you're not that heavy. Damn it.
I love this thing, man. Right? See how flat that was? Right? Yep. Really nice. Woo.
Me too, HK. Me too. You know, the only thing that Grantham said in one of his openers that hit me personally was, if you've ever gone to the gym and just gotten thicker, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That's my life. Just like this gun, 13 pounds. I can't open the video without talking about the weight. She's heavy. Somehow, when you run it, it doesn't feel that heavy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the HK MR556 review. This review for me has been almost 6 years in the making. 2,500 rounds have been fired, and most of those, a disgusting majority of those, have been Black Hills 77 grain TMKs, which to this day hurts my soul. I wish I just saved them and shot more 55 grain. This gun was built on requirements from the Special Forces community when HK designed the 416. Then they decided, hey, the United States has a massive AR-15 market. Let's make a civilian compliant version that met German export laws and US import laws with a bunch of steps so that we could have this just so people could complain about it. However, in this review, I intend to demonstrate how it's actually a stellar performer.
The cream of the crop! Nobody does it better.
And has a very competent and capable place in your inventory if you're into precision shooting. Or if you want a slightly shorter, slightly lighter, and a better barrel life, Mark 12. All the cloners got mad. All right, so we're looking at the HK MR556. This is the MR556A1, not any of the other cool variants. I do have a demonstration gun, which is a CR556 that I've broken down so I don't have to take this apart. It's gonna make things a lot faster. Let's get the boring stuff out of the way. Your overall length is between 33.90, so essentially 34 inches, and 37.68 inches. The reason those numbers are funny is because this is a 16.5 inch barrel, and with the muzzle device makes it 17 inches essentially. Your width is 3.07 inches. Your height without optics is 9.45 inches. Your barrel length, which we just covered, is 16.5 inches. That's 16.5 inches of rifled barrel. Speaking of the barrel, we have your HK standard cold hammer forged, cannon grade steel, 6 lands and grooves, right hand 1-in-7 twist barrel, which is its most hated but its most capable feature. Keeping with the tip to butt review format that Grantham has made. It's kind of like other people copying my review format, KS Gun Guy. But that said, going tip to butt, we have an A2 style open flash hider. The flash hider is open 360 degrees, so not great if you're in the prone position in the sand. However, between the barrel length and this being open, it actually gives this gun a different tone, and I really like it. It has a nice, deep, specific sound. The muzzle device, again, is connected to the 16.5 inch super chonk, heavy barrel, all the C's. Look at this. No lightning cuts, no fluting, nothing. It has a very, 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 very slow taper all the way to the end, and it is absolutely wonderful as far as getting a nice heavy barrel with excellent harmonics for precision. However, not good for moving fast or having a light rifle. What else is unique about this barrel is internally it tapers, so the gap gets tighter as the bullet travels down the barrel. You'll notice it especially when you're running a bore snake through it or some sort of patch. You'll hear the difference in engagement from the throat all the way down to the end. It just gets progressively harder to pull through and higher pitch as you pull it through. It's kind of crazy. Next, we're going to talk about the best in class piston system. Now this is the short stroke gas piston system. A short stroke only moves so much, and it's designed to cycle the action in the bolt, which we will get into, with very, very little movement. Very, very easy, and it's very quick when it does it. So some would say it's a little more violent than the long stroke, but I digress. Disassembly for maintenance is very simple. This is an excellent way of doing business. And then you pull this out, which is where your gas rings are. I know this is a little dirty, sorry. Right in the front here, and you're gonna say, why are you showing me this now? It's because when we get to the bolt, you're gonna wonder where they went. Reassembly, very, very easy. And HK also reinforced this area, so you're not just punching through some basic ass cutout in a receiver. They reinforced it, which is very, very nice. And it's plated, I think. Very long barrel nut, which this Geisley rail attaches to, which is what we're going to talk about next. So we've covered all this good stuff. Now, there are very, very few rails on the market that will fit the HK MR556. There are even fewer that are this long. I'm not going to know all of them, but what I do know is this is the best rail for this gun. I know it's unobtainium right now, and I'm very frustrated, which also prompted me to chop this because I was just going to use this as a clone of this. But due to the increasing rarity of these rails, I don't want to wait years for them. So the Geisley SMR rail is an outstanding rail. It only comes with 3 rail sections. The Geisley rail attachments will screw directly into the rail, so you can position them so long as they're in line with these screws. I know this almost looks like M-LOK, but it's not. These are vents. They're essentially kind of useless. They do have small indexing cuts in the back of the Geisley supplied 1913 sections, but they're not an M-LOK design, so they just screw directly into the rail, giving you your rail sections. What's also nice is Geisley included a indexing key, which I can't show you because of my optic, but the receiver, just like their rifles, has an indexing key, so you don't need the anti-rotational tabs for this setup. Also, you're gonna need a big boy screwdriver to take this off, and how tight the fit is on this rail to the barrel nut is pretty aggressive. Luckily, it's very, very well built, very heavy. This will increase the weight of your rifle. So it's, in my mind, essential for a gun this size, whether guys chop it to 14.5 or leave it at 16.5, but it will weigh the gun down. So I think this is the only rail to go with. However, you are gonna pay in the weight department. I've got a Surefire dual fuel with an SR07 pressure switch, and Arasaka also makes SMR attachment pieces. They're in and out of stock. I will say I'm very, very, very happy with this Arasaka hand stop, and it's very well machined. There's no sharp edges. The only thing I learned one time, because how am I gonna learn if it's not there to teach me?
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I was a super awesome genius one day and dropped this into my hand versus grabbing it up front and then pulling back into the indexing position as it's intended. This hurts really bad when you do that, and luckily it's not sharp. If you want a reliable rail, Geisley's the way to go. The SMR especially. I like the SMR over the Mark 15. It's thicker and it's a lot tougher. Also, it does have QD attachment points in the preferred position for most people. I do have a mount up front for when I want to tighten it up, but if you're running drills or just using it, that's probably the better location to have it. Moving to the rear, we got a couple things to focus on back here. I'm gonna drop the magazine, which we will talk about. So we have a flared magazine well. This received quite a bit of criticism when it first came out, and now everyone's doing it. You'll see multiple manufacturers now using a mil-spec standard, quote unquote, lower receiver, and they'll flare it on the inside. Even the Geisley has that now. So you're seeing a lot of people go to this, but when it first came out, there was a litany of people talking crap about that setup, and for no reason. Now everybody wants a good mag well, and now that it's on everything, people don't talk crap about it anymore. But since HK innovates and they were the first person to do it, of course it was a problem. Next, obviously, is the polymer dust cover. The polymer dust cover, you're really only going to find on a few manufacturers. They say it seals better. I don't know. I would prefer it to be metal, honestly, but it's not like it's hard to replace either way. You do you. If you want to be mad about it, be mad, I guess. You'll also notice while we're here that the finish is stellar. This is hands down the best finish on any AR I have. The MR556s and the MR762 in my safe are easily the best looking guns I have. No matter what I throw at them, this finish is tough, it's resilient, it deals with the elements, and it weathers scratches very, very well. Just an absolutely stellar finish. I don't think anybody could say that it's not. Being objective, you can compare it to anybody you want. This finish is well recognized for how good it is. A couple of things going on as we move to the rear. HK also brought to the market with this the ability to put it on safe after the hammer was dropped. So if you pull the trigger, dry fired it, or fired it, and you wanted to be done, you could still put the safety on. If you get the Geisley trigger, which I do have, you delete that feature. So it is kind of a shame that you can't keep it with the Geisley trigger. However, the Geisley trigger is an improvement. With the safety, you have ambidextrous safety. So it's equal length on both sides, which is not preferred. When the ambi safeties came out, initially, people hadn't figured out that it's better to have it shorter on one side, you know, based on whether you're right-handed or left-handed, because this does get annoying. However, as I shoot the gun, I don't really notice it as much. The standard grip, which I've taken off for the HK Battle Grip, has storage. This also has storage. The Battle Grip V2 does not have storage. It's nice to have storage in your pistol grip. I've never used it, but I'm sure if I was going somewhere nasty, I'd want to have some spare parts in there. I'm going to cover two things before we go internal. The charging handle, while able to be swapped from right to left, is not ambidextrous. You can use standard AR-15 charging handles, so if you want to use a Raptor or a Geisley, you can. And Geisley made a specific charging handle for the MR762, so that one does exist. They didn't make one specifically for the MR556 because their regular ones will work. So it is what it is. Also, probably my least favorite feature, but it contributes to how awesome the receiver fit is. There is zero, not a little, not there is zero play between the upper and lower, zero. The reason for this are these detented takedown pins. So you have to push this, use a tool, a specific tool to push this in. You can also use a round, allegedly. However, both of my MR556s, my 762 is the worst because it's super tight and the front pin does not ever want to go back. So usually when I clean it, I just break the rear pin and then clean it that way, because taking the receiver off, huge pain in the ass. So you have to push down and then it will go through. Now, there's two steps in the detent. So when you put it back together, I recommend pushing in on it and then pushing the pin through, because you'll get it through halfway and then you get super upset. So at least with mine, all three of mine, they do that. I don't know if it's the same with you, but it is with me. And I keep saying one more thing before we go internal. This is the last thing, I promise. The HK MR556 and the 416s, all of them have this stepped receiver. So you'd want to use an absolute. So I use an absolute mount on this, but it gives me really almost a lower 1/3, which is very nice, coupled with the buttstock, which we will get to. But for this project, I'm putting a Comp M5S on the chop, and I'm using an absolute ScalarWorks mount because of this swoop here. There were some people who were very upset when they put things on it that they were too tall. What I'm not saying is use a low mount. What I am saying is absolute will feel like a lower 1/3 on these. So if you put a lower 1/3, it's going to be higher than lower 1/3, and then a 193, you're going to be in the atmosphere.
I'm just worried about where we're going from here. Is it this stratosphere, man? Is it the ionosphere?
Which I probably just inadvertently gave all those Instagram hoes boners. Because it's all about going as high as you can. All right, time for the bolt finally. Now, because this is exported from Germany, but finished in the United States by Daniel Defense, it's kind of a weird situation. So on the receiver, you'll see Georgia. And on this rifle, it says Columbus, Georgia, but the HK marking has the bell. So the receivers are made in the United States. Uh-oh. What about the barrel then? Same thing. Uh-oh. Is this really an HK? It's just Merc and stuff with HK markings. The way this works is HK sends the barrel blanks, and there's certain specifications that Daniel Defense meets to finish the barrels. Now you're gonna say, why'd you just tell me all that? It's dumb. Well, the bolt has German proof marks on it. And the bolt carrier has German proof marks on it. So this is from Germany because they can export this. And it's not military because it has this cut and a few other features to not go full auto. For the 2 engineers that watch my channel, this is a captured firing pin retaining pin. It's not a cotter pin, it's a solid cylindrical piece and it's captured. Also, your bolt carrier is a monolithic piece. It's not welded together, anything like that. This is machined from the same piece of metal. There's a small retainer that keeps your firing pin and spring, captive. You have your cam pin as per usual, also square. Very well machined though. Very, very little wear, by the way, which is excellent. And your bolt. And do you see how smooth that came out of there? Just absolutely perfectly machined. The only time it binds is when I don't pull it out of there perfectly, because the Germans love precision machining. So we're on the bolt now. You're gonna notice an absence of things that we're used to as Americans. So you don't have a taper in the back. This is really easy to clean, and the firing pin channel is very well protected. It's a very, very excellent bolt, very well machined, and everything is excellent. You'll notice that, again, German proof marks, the antler, all that stuff. And it is just an amazing bolt design. Very, very well made. Every time I take this apart and clean it, 1, cleaning it is super simple and fast, and 2, I always marvel at the engineering that they've put into this bolt. Now, once you have it back together, you will notice the spring from earlier keeps your bolt sprung. However, unlike other piston guns, this will drop all the way into the receiver and lock in the forward position. So overall, very, very happy with this bolt and bolt carrier. You have no options for changing it out, so there's no aftermarket options. If you run one of these suppressed, you're stuck with it, and you can run a 416 bolt in this, I think. I am, however, positive you'd need to make some internal modifications with this and a grinder that I'm not comfortable doing to put the 416 bolt carrier in it. Also, a little fun fact before I get to the magazine, the buffer is actually an H3 or H3 plus. It's over 5.3 ounces, I think. And a lot of people, when they do the barrel chops, don't know that. So when they get their barrel chop back, the shop who usually does the work is like, hey, you have to change your buffer and spring. And they're like, no, I don't, because of HK. And they run something different in the 416. So this buffer is designed for a 16.5-inch barrel. So if you start messing with the barrel length, just understand you might have to mess with this too. What a lot of people do end up finding out though, however, is with this standard configuration, it shoots very, very smooth. The short stroke gas piston is very smooth and the buffer is very heavy, coupled with the buttstock, which we're about to talk about now, with its rear pad, makes it a very, very smooth operating rifle and pleasant to shoot. I've let tiny females shoot this, smaller statured guys. My dad fired it. He's no spring chicken. And a lot of people have fired this and all said 2 things. 1, it shoots really, really smooth, and my setup is hyper accurate, which we will get to in a minute. The stock has storage, and it is thinner than a SOP mod. It's very, very close to an SLS stock. For people like me that have very large jaws and can use the SOP mod, but we have to like cant our face a little bit, this is my favorite stock. I don't like that it's $200, but it's my favorite stock, and if I could afford to, I'd put it on everything. It's just very easy to run. I really like the butt pad, and the storage is very easy to get access to. However, I don't like taking this apart too much. The indexing piece on the butt pad gets, you know, a little chalky. I don't know how long this is gonna last because it's interfacing with the end of the stock. So, you know, it houses your takedown tool that's parked back there. You also have two spots that'll fit an 18650 or CR123s or whatever you want. You can stuff them back there and it will hold it. I think there's also like a null space back here and up here based on where your stock is. So if you want to jam some other crap in there, you probably shouldn't. You can, and complain about it. I know this is gonna make some people mad, but I have a bad lever on this too. Not part of the gun though, so I'm not gonna talk about it too much. But I've gone through everything that this rifle has. Very, very in-depth. Now, what is it good for? What is it not good for? That's what we're gonna do for rifles. So what it's good for. It is an excellent Mark 12 replacement. It's a great precision platform, and for your average shooter, it's pretty solid for what you can use it for. So with a lot of guys going to LPVOs, this package will sing with the right glass on it. Now you can go lighter, obviously. You know, me having a 25-ounce optic and a Geisley mount, not the lightest I could have picked, right? I could take a Vortex 1 to 10 and it would lose some weight. So 13 pounds is hard to swallow. However, when you're in the prone position or in a supported position, this thing is remarkably stable. It makes hitting things at 300 yards super easy, and this is a much shorter package than a Mark 12. Obviously, the Mark 12 was designed to do a specific job, and this is the match rifle as far as HK is concerned, so we can have it because of German export laws and US import laws. HK had to build a plant over here specifically to sell the 416 to our forces. I've found that the capabilities of this rifle are 100% repeatable. The piston system makes it easy to not have to constantly maintenance. I've had no ammo issues with it. This thing has been nothing but excellent the entire time, and it's been very, very precise. I don't have any targets to roll in here, but the best group I shot was a 6-shot group, because I'm stupid, of 77 grain TMK, and it was 0.75 inches. It can probably do better in the right hands, and with the Geisley trigger, that really, really helped dial my group in, because the stock trigger, while smooth, was very, very heavy. So the Geisley trigger coupled with really clear 1:8 glass and it being heavy, quite frankly, allows me to repeat the accuracy. And my micro inputs are not magnified because the rifle's so light I can breathe on it and it comes off target. So really, really good for precision applications. You can throw a bipod on it, just accept that it's a heavy rifle and use it in that capacity. I don't find that the 16.5-inch barrel gives me any limitations whatsoever. So comparing this to an 18-inch barrel, I'm confident. I can run this, and there's plenty of guys that run these very, very hard in competition, and the barrel life on this is phenomenal. There's guys who've documented their round counts up to 20,000 rounds, 25,000 rounds, and they're doing very well. There's a nice write-up about the 416. Yes, chrome line got you. And I know the barrel lining is a plus and minus for some people. This is a completely unlined barrel. It's not nitrided, it's nothing, it's their steel. So HK's steel is what is the lining. So to that point, it's more accurate because it's unlined. There's no consistency issues, there's no quality issues. It's the barrel is the barrel. All right, a lot of barrels in precision applications are unlined. Now, with that said, the 416 is going to last longer because it also has its HK steel once again, but with chrome lining. So give and take. But there's guys that lost, I think, 4 MOA in 67,000 rounds in a 10-4. So I'll link that article in the description. The life of this barrel is insane, and HK barrels are well renowned for being very rigid this barrel is so rigid for a 16 inch. Like other 16 inches, I can just sit here and play with it and it scares people. It made me nervous at first. This is a super rigid, super accurate barrel. All right, we gotta move on because I'll just stay there for 20 minutes. What it's not good for. CQC, moving fast, being a 416 and full auto. So that seems like a much longer list of negatives for some people. However, understanding what this is and understanding that guys don't beat the hell out of their other precision ARs. So not going full auto and not being a 416 shouldn't be on the docket. But because the 416 exists and this exists, the standard of expectations is this is a 416. It's not. There's guys that have run torture tests on this and said, whoa, not a 416, this thing sucks in the mud. And it might. And there might be some serious applications that I rely on this for, but this is not a 416. The reason I say it's not good for full auto is because there's gonna be one or two of you in the comments, possibly more, that are gonna talk to me about the Las Vegas shooting range. This barrel and this upper were never designed to go full auto. I don't know how they put it on a full auto lower, but they put this MR556 upper on a full auto lower and cooked it to death. And you've been to public ranges just like I have. People are gonna just beat the hell out of guns. So one, I don't know if they kept an accurate round count, and two, it's not designed to do that. You wouldn't do it with a Mark 12, you wouldn't do it with a Hansen barrel, you wouldn't do it with any of these precision barrels that you pay extra money for, so they played that game and won that prize. So those two things it's not good for. If you want a 416, buy a 416 upper. And yes, they're way more expensive. Go ahead and pull that 12 grand out of your pocket. Or get an SOT, one of the two. Moving fast, she's a 13-pound rifle. You're not going anywhere fast with this thing. But I have made it work. So it's not so debilitatingly heavy that you can't run this. This is not a 25-pound bolt action rifle. This is a 13-pound AR. It's not super light, but it's not super heavy. I have seen some that weigh more. It's admittedly fewer rifles that weigh less than this thing. However, they are out there, they do exist. For someone like me who's a little thicker, you know, I lift heavy, it's not hard for me to run this gun. I'll get tired by the end of the day, but realistically, I've run this in competition. I shoot drills with it, and I'm not really scared to use this gun to its full potential. Next, CQC. So this is like 30% the weight, 70% the length. 16.5 inches, so essentially a 17-inch barrel, is not ideal for doing CQC. If you have a shorter gun, you're gonna do much better. A 14.5 with a pin and welded muzzle device is gonna take you exactly to 16 inches. If you have something shorter, you're gonna do better in a CQC environment. You have to use what you have, so if this is your only rifle, guess what? You gotta learn how to do it, but there's plenty of guys with multiple setups. You know, figure out what you're buying. You are spending your money on this, okay? You are buying it. So figure out what you're gonna use it for. All right, circling back to the barrel, it's recommended that you, since it is unlined, if it starts keyholing, it's not that the rifling is bad. It's that the copper levels are too high in the rifling, so you use a copper solvent every between 3,000 and 5,000 rounds. And you'll see it with the lighter rounds, you won't see it with the 77s as much. And this is the same for anything, your bolt actions, any other unlined barrel, stainless barrels. Just use some copper solvent and, you know, make sure you don't use too much and you keep an eye on it, but that will reset the barrel essentially. Also, I forgot the magazine. Best magazine. I love these magazines. I have a few of them. They're great. I keep them loaded with 77 grain TMKs and they stay springy. This is the second generation, so this has the Maritime follower. I know the first gens didn't run very well, so I will acknowledge that. However, the Maritime follower, gorgeous. Love these mags. So at the end of the day, what am I looking at? What are we doing here? What does this gun do? $2,700. Why am I paying that? And why do you have two of them, you HK simp?
It goes like this: soy boy, cuck, simp. You're the lowest of the low.
Well, It's because this gun will outlast me. And honestly, with how I have this thing set up, it makes shooting easy and enjoyable. I can hit whatever I aim at, and if I miss it the first time, I'm damn sure hitting it the second time. It is absolutely awesome. And it's great to have something in the safe I can grab. It's always zeroed. The 77 grains run perfectly in it, and I can smack whatever I need to. It is just that reliable for me. And I can also run it hard. So where some of these other guns fall short is you get the Hansen profile barrel just like me, just like other people. Or you get some of these other precision builds and you wince if you have to run it that day in a course where you have to belt out multiple strings of fire. I can shoot this 5-shot strings, 10-shot strings. I can run bear drills with it. I can do all sorts of stuff with it and I don't worry about it. I'm not doing mag dumps. I've never been a mag dump person. So I'm not bringing this gun up and doing an Aaron Cowan burn down session with it. And I'm not throwing shade. I'm just saying, like, I'm not doing a 500 round burn down with this. It's a precision rifle that you can beat on. Don't go full auto, don't bump fire, and don't mag dump. But outside of that, shooting strings, running it warm, doing all the things you can't do with your Gucci precision AR, you can do with this. So it's well constructed. The receiver fit is second to none. The finish is second to none. The barrel, it's chunk. Every time I look at this barrel, I see that damn boy he thick.
Damn boy, he thick! Boy, that's a thick ass boy!
Because it's the thickest AR barrel I've ever seen in person. But it's accurate. The most accurate AR I have ever fired. And if you buy one of these with the same intentions that I had when I purchased it, and you get an LPVO on top of it, you get the Geisley trigger and a good rail on it, she's gonna reward you every time you set it up. Anytime you press the trigger, it's gonna win. And that's what this gun does for me. It's a phenomenal experience. Is it a hard use gun? Kind of. Now, if you're talking about doing over the beach or dragging it through the mud or any of this other stuff, probably not gonna hang. But if you prepare it to do that stuff, like put it in a bag or something like that, take it to your objective, set it up, and then start pressing shots, probably gonna do just fine. Your mileage may vary, but what I'll tell you over almost 6 years and all the rounds I've put through this, I have no complaints. She is heavy. She is all of the things I said, both good and bad, but this thing really is awesome. And with the AccuPower, I can't say AccuPower without thinking of Randy Savage, but
Mega powers, yeah. Mega powers, yeah. I feel the power now.
you know what I would do if I was doing this over again? I'd either put an Attacker or a Vortex 1-10 or this Trijicon again. You know, just the Credo with the better glass and the better reticle. But you set this up to do precision work and you are set. So that's what I recommend you do with it. And my position will always be, it's a precision gun that you can beat on. And I'm gonna keep this thing forever. Thanks for watching. Take care out there.